Hello and welcome to Connect Church Community Online. I'm Pastor Scott Wright and I'm excited to share the word with you with I'm Good Part 2. I'm Good Part 2. Really, there's none good. We talked about that in Part 1. There's some problems going on here in Numbers chapter 20. We're trying to look at Moses. Moses was a great leader, a great man, but here we're going to see he loses his temper. Even though the people are getting on his nerves, man, it's almost like excusable, but we've got to realize we are sinners and we can make some big decisions that can ruin us. And so we need to make sure, we want to be in God's perfect will, man. We want to go into that promised land. We want to go into God's perfect will. And so with this, let's look and continue. There's a problem in Numbers chapter 20. They're in the wilderness. There is no water, okay? There is no water. So let's read it in Numbers chapter 20, verse 1. Then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin in the first month, and the people abode in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried. So y'all already getting negative here. Man, it's desert. There's no water. People are dying. And it says in verse 2, and there was no water for the congregation. Man, they didn't know what. There's death. There's no water. And then here's the third problem that they made for themselves. And that is, and they gathered themselves together against Moses. Man, the people, man, they after the leader right here. And so you can see that. And so, of course, we talked about it before, but and the Lord spake unto Moses in verse 12 and Aaron, says, because you believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not lead the children of Israel into the land which I have given you. Because instead of speaking to the rock, he hit the rock, as it were. So we see the problem, but we also need to realize that even though Moses was a leader, it's not his responsibility to take care of the people. It's God. And God has a solution for every problem I have, you have, everybody. He can do it. But here's what's going on here with these problems they already have. They escalate, and it's worse because the people are panicked. Look at verse 3. And the people chode with Moses and spake, saying, would God that we'd have died with our brethren died before the Lord. They said, we wish we'd have died in Egypt, man. We just brought out here to die a worse death in here. You have brought up the congregation of the Lord into the wilderness, that we and our cattle should die. Man, they ain't worried about their cows when they're fussing and griping, man. They've got it on there. And wherefore have you made us to come up out of Egypt to bring us into this evil place? This evil place. It is no place for seed or figs or vines or pomegranates, neither is there any water to even drink. There is nothing here. Let me tell you what's there. God is there. You may be there in your life where you can't see water, you can't see anything growing, but let me tell you who's there. God is there. Instead of praying, they panicked. Instead of remembering, they rebelled. Instead of seeking God, they sinned against God. They chode, they complained, they criticized, they griped, they questioned every decision, everything that was going on. And so here's something going on, all right? Well, let me tell you what. Moses, being a good leader, man, he said, you know what? We're going to pray for power and wisdom. So him and Aaron, okay? Him and Aaron, the ones that's punished here in just a little bit here, they were punished. Moses ain't going to get to go in the Holy Land. Why? And Moses, in verse 6, and Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. They went into the presence of God. They fell upon their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. Man, I'm telling you, when things are bad, we need the glory of the Lord to appear to us. They went from and unto. They fell on their faces. They were in the presence of God. Let me tell you something. If you speak to God, He will speak to you. Wow. Well, there's the promise in verses 8 through 11. Let's read that. He said, take the rod. He said, take the rod. Now, in a little bit, you're going to see he hit it, okay? Take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak you unto the rock before their eyes. And it shall give forth his water. Remember, speak unto the rock, and it shall give forth water. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation, man, then you can give your beasts that they're fussing about. Man, you can water the plants. You can take care of all. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them. Now, he's mad, and his anger is going to cost him something here, and that's why we need to be careful. And it says, and Moses, man, and Aaron, they're in front of the congregation. And he said, hear now, ye rebels. Man, he's mad as fire. Must we fetch you water out of this rock? Who gets the water out of the rock? It ain't Moses. It's God. He's got the rod representing his authority that God has given him. And Moses lifted up his hand. This is where he messed up, okay? And with his rod, he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly. And the congregation drank, and also their animals. Man, it's great, man. Moses done a great job, man. He's a good man. There is none good, no, not one. It shall give forth water. From where? A rock. The problems are solved by obedience. I mean, there's all kinds of Bible examples of that. Take the rod, gather the assembly. You and Aaron, get in there. The leaders are involved in this. Speak to the rock. Now, what did he do? He hit the rock. Now, in 1 Corinthians 10, 4 through 6, I want to read this. And this is referring back to it from the New Testament. And they did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them. The rock is following them, and it is giving water. That's not a rock. That's representing Jesus. And Moses, instead of speaking to the rock, hit the rock. Okay? But with many of them, God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now, these things were our examples to the intent we should not lust after evil things as they did. Moses is dealing with a bunch of heathens, and he gets mad, and he is punished. Because, let me tell you, you can do the right thing the wrong way. You can have the right energy, but you can not obey completely. Speak to the rock. What was the penalty? He was responsible for a lot of great things. He was a good man, but that's not the penalty. He missed the promised land. He missed God's perfect will. There's lots of good people out there. We try to be good. We try to do what's right, but there's none good, no, not one. Moses was a good man, and he messed up. Let's take that example here. There's none good. Let's do the best we can, and the only thing we can do is in the power of God. Watch our temper, watch our anger, watch all the things, our motives and everything. Thank you for listening to Connect Church Community Online. God bless you.